All right, let's get right into it. We're about to jump into an ancient Buddhist text that, honestly, reads more like a cosmic superhero story than scripture. It's called the Vimalakīrti Sūtra, and its hero? Well, he isn't a monk or a god. He's a mysterious, brilliant, and, as it turns out, very sick layman. And that question right there is the entire hook. It's the central mystery that kicks this whole thing off. What if the wisest person alive wasn't on some remote mountaintop, but was just a guy in your city? A guy who's sick and who everyone is kind of terrified to even talk to.
So, here's how the story starts. The Buddha is teaching his followers, and he finds out that this really well-respected guy, Vimalakīrti, is sick. The Buddha thinks, hey, someone should go check on him. Makes sense, right? But here's the twist. One by one, his absolute best disciples, they all refuse to go.
First up, he asks Shariputra, who's known as the wisest of them all, and Shariputra's like, nope, can't do it. He remembers this one time, Vimalakīrti found him meditating and just completely dismantled his whole understanding of what meditation even is. Vimalakīrti's wisdom was so next level that it left the disciple of wisdom totally speechless. Okay, so next is Mahākāsyapa, the guy known for his hardcore discipline. He also says, I'm out. Why? He remembers Vimalakīrti calling him out for his practice of only begging from poor families. Vimalakīrti told him that true compassion doesn't play favorites. It has to be for everyone, rich and poor alike. Another top student, totally humbled.
Then you've got Subhuti, the literal expert on the concept of emptiness. And even he was outsmarted. Vimalakīrti showed him that understanding emptiness isn't about knowing a fancy theory, it's about how you live your life. So do you see the pattern here? All the greatest minds of the time admit they are just no match for this sick layman.
So who is this guy? Who is this Vimalakīrti who can outthink and outtalk the Buddha's best and brightest? Well, finding out who he is, that's the whole point. It's what makes this sutra so revolutionary.
And this is where your expectations get completely shattered. He's not some monk living in a cave. He's a rich businessman, a family man, living right in the chaotic heart of the city. Get this, he hangs out in gambling dens, taverns, even brothels. But he's not there to indulge. He's there to teach. He engages with every messy part of human life, using it all as a lesson. He's like the ultimate spiritual secret agent.
Now there's a really important Buddhist concept that explains why he lives this way. It's called upāya, or skillful means. The idea is that a truly awake person doesn't have a single, rigid way of teaching. They adapt, using whatever works for the person they're talking to. For Vimalakīrti, his whole life, and yes, even his sickness, is one giant, brilliant act of skillful means.
So, why is he sick? This is the beautiful heart of it all. He explains that his illness isn't really his. It comes from his deep, boundless compassion for everyone. It's a physical reflection of all the suffering in the world. He's sick because we are sick. He's literally embodying the idea that we are all connected. Since all the top disciples are too intimidated to visit, the Buddha turns to Manjushri, the bodhisattva of transcendent wisdom. Think of a bodhisattva as a kind of enlightened superhero who sticks around to help everyone else. Manjushri is the only one who might be on Vimalakīrti's level. He agrees to go, and you bet a huge crowd follows to watch the fireworks.
But when they get there, the scene is a little strange. Vimalakīrti has magically emptied his entire mansion. No furniture, no servants, nothing. It's just this huge, empty space with one man lying sick in a bed. The stage is set for a showdown of pure wisdom.
The conversation starts simply enough, but it escalates fast. Vimalakīrti starts demonstrating a teaching so profound you can't really grasp it with logic. He calls it the inconceivable liberation. And he decides to show, not just tell. To give everyone a place to sit, Vimalakīrti performs a miracle. He summons 32,000 giant, magnificent thrones from another dimension, and they all fit perfectly into his tiny room. Now, think about this. The room doesn't get bigger, the thrones don't shrink. They just fit. It's a real-world demonstration of a reality beyond our normal rules.
Vimalakīrti explains, look, this isn't just a magic trick. This is how reality actually works when you stop thinking in terms of opposites. All those concepts we take for granted, big and small, inside and outside, they're just ideas in our minds. True freedom is seeing that the biggest thing imaginable can fit inside the smallest without any contradiction at all.
All right, the conversation keeps building and building, and finally, it reaches its absolute peak. Vimalakīrti throws down a challenge to all the enlightened bodhisattvas in the room. Explain the ultimate truth. Explain what it means to enter the gate of non-duality.
So one by one, they give these incredible, poetic answers. One says, we think of things being born and dying. That's a duality. But if you realize that things were never really born in the first place, then they can't really die. Seeing that's non-duality.
Another one pipes up and says, self and other, me and you, that's a duality. But if you look closely and realize there's no solid self to begin with, then the whole idea of an other just falls apart. All these brilliant mind-bending answers.
At last, after everyone has had their say, Manjushri gives his own incredible answer, saying that true non-duality is beyond any words or signs. Then, he turns to their host, to the sick man in the bed, Vimalakīrti himself. It's his turn. What is his answer? What's the final word?
And Vimalakīrti says nothing at all, just silence.
And in that moment, boom, Manjushri gets it. He declares that Vimalakīrti's silence is the best answer of all. Why? Because any word you use to describe the ultimate truth immediately creates a separation, a duality. But Vimalakīrti's thunderous silence was the only response that didn't fall into that trap. It was the perfect demonstration of a truth that's beyond all words.
So what does all this cosmic, mind-bending stuff actually mean for us, here in our regular lives? This is where the whole sutra brings it right back down to earth.
This right here is probably the most famous image from the entire text, and it's so powerful. It says you don't find awakening by trying to escape the messiness of life. You find it right there, in the mess. Your struggles, your frustrations, your challenges, that's the mud. But it's also the fertile ground where real wisdom, the lotus, can actually grow.
And that's really the heart of it. The big takeaway here isn't that you need to become a monk and renounce everything. The message is to be like Vimalakīrti, to dive into your life, all of it, but to do it with awareness and with compassion. True enlightenment isn't somewhere else. It's right here, right now.
So I'll leave you with this to think about. We all have messy, difficult, confusing parts of our lives. That's our mud. The invitation from this ancient story isn't to get rid of the mud, but to look at it, to engage with it. Because who knows, hidden right there in the middle of the struggle might be the most beautiful lotus you could ever imagine.